The king has returned.
I spent much of the past couple of months pondering what an IMPLANTgames video would look like in 2024. It can't be what it was in 2020. That is the past, and I'm not that person. You are not that audience, and yet here we are, together yet again. I often wonder what a gaming video should even be. Should it be a review of the game? Should it be my thoughts and opinions? Should it be philosophical? Should it be informative? Should the video tell a story? If one does a Google search for what makes a game good, they'll find a decent summary from a variety of written and video sources. It certainly isn't definitive. The gameplay in a racing game is what draws me into it. Generally not the story, and if the racing gameplay sucks, the story ain't saving it. The story in Sonic Forces does not draw me into the game. Eggman has escalated his world takeover plans to an almost comical degree, but Sonic and friends ultimately foil his plans and save the world. It is the same plot from forever ago, but updated for whatever 2017 audience Sega targeted, presumably 10-year-olds into fantasy violence. I am not the target demographic. However, the atmosphere is thoughtful and lends to immersion. Eggman is hell-bent on taking over the planet, and well, it feels like it. The world is crumbling. Eggman's massive machines are wreaking havoc. There are stakes. Even better, the world feels like a place an evil scientist and a little blue hedgehog would inhabit, and continue their respective struggles. Nothing feels out of place. No uncanny valley, convoluted time travel, no princess, just a hero, a villain, and a fantasy playground. While I might not personally be invested in the story, the sheer beauty seems worth preserving, with the alternate outcome seeming less than desirable. After all, I did want to keep playing the game to the end twice. I don't want to drone on about the minutiae of Sonic Forces. I'm not talented enough, so let's lightning round this. Sonic Forces has 3 playable characters: Modern Sonic, with a mix of 2D and 3D gameplay, a homing attack, double jump, and boost. Classic Sonic, featuring exclusively 2D gameplay, drop dash, and a spin dash. Finally, the original character, or OC, with a mix of 2D and 3D gameplay, a weapon called a Wispin, and special attacks. There is a learning curve to it all at first. Each character has its own unique quirks in regards to jumping and acceleration. The biggest impact is probably the double jump though, with it being given and taken as the player progresses. However, I found it to be just that, a learning curve, and any perceived oddities melted away with time. Back to the Wispin though, a lexical blend of weapon and wisp. The player starts with the Burst, basically a flamethrower. The beauty of Burst is one can move while the flames flare, making it suitable for simply beating the game. The second Wispin unlocked is Lightning. The beauty of this one is its reach, clearing out a far larger section of the screen compared to Burst. It comes with trade-offs though, including grinding the player to a halt, doing less damage, and not being a constant stream. One might even call such trade-offs balance, flexibility, experimenting to find the best approach for the situation. It doesn't end there. Drill gives the OC a spin dash attack. There are even more Wispins to explore, but full disclosure, Burst and Lightning were what I used on my recorded run. Players progress through Sonic Forces in a linear fashion, with completion of one stage unlocking the next, concluding at stage 30. At a macro level, the first half of Sonic Forces is too easy. There are too many boosting segments with limited player interaction. Making a mistake rarely punishes the player, instead sending them on a different path. It isn't as engaging as I'd like and makes for a poor first impression. To make matters worse, doing basic things in a level yields an unwieldy reward screen, forcing the player to rapidly press through the endless array of new gear unlocked for the OC. For me personally, I felt like I was playing a game made for someone else. Thankfully, Sonic Forces picks up in the second half. There is sufficient punishment for poor play, and the challenges presented require control proficiency. One might even argue the earlier stages were teaching the player the nuance, and then testing the player later on. And while I may not personally like the reward system's implementation, it is clear it resonated with its player base. Doing a Google search for Sonic Forces OC reveals a massive amount of art, and not all of it is as old as one might expect. Players of the day and the present are finally able to create their own version of themselves, or whatever they want, and see it in the game. This is ultimately the main reward system in Sonic Forces, beating levels or new objectives and getting new avatar gear. It really didn't make much sense to me at first. The avatars look weird, unappealing to my senses. However, if one plays Sonic Forces long enough, eventually it will be worth a look for most. Similar to a Kirby game, I'd argue the main campaign of Sonic Forces is just scratching the surface of the title. For tradition's sake, I grabbed the 5 red rings in each stage, as well as S-ranking all 30 stages. I completed some additional bonus content off camera, totaling around 119%, which is a moral dilemma for a bygone era. This is where the replayability comes in. I enjoyed the hell out of these two tasks. The level design in Sonic Forces is much different than I expected it to be. There is a surprising amount of exploration to be had in some of these levels. Traveling high paths, traveling low paths, backtracking, defeating enemies, and of course, using different Wispins. No lie, Null Space was some of the most fun I've had in a while. Getting an S rank requires mastery of the game's controls and mechanics, and it requires mastery of both Sonic's moveset as well as the OC. The way I accomplished the task wasn't even the way in the YouTube tutorial. I had to find my own path. It is seriously one of the most satisfying experiences I can recall, and finally nabbing the required points after an hour of retries is when I realized Sonic Forces is good. Yeah, rewards, flexibility, replayability, it's all here. Not only is Burst a flamethrower, when grabbing the appropriate Wisp capsule, it has a secondary function, Burst. Its true purpose is not clear at first, although it clearly makes grabbing a few hard-to-reach red rings easier. The true genius is chaining bursts together. Following the intended path often leads to massive ring clusters, more bursts, and red rings. This combination leads to larger scores and ring bonuses, leading to S ranks. Same goes for lightning. This allows the OC to zip along ring trails, and chaining them together is an absolute treat. It's very rare for me to play a new Sonic game and not want to throw the controller through the TV, and I think that says something. Don't get me wrong, I died a lot. I'm terrible at video games and generally trial and error my way through games, this channel, through life. The actual controls in Sonic Forces are fine. Like most games, there is a learning curve. The way the 3 characters move is slightly different and unique. And if you've spent a lifetime playing more traditional 2D and 3D platformers, especially the upper echelon the genre has to offer, Sonic Forces is going to feel odd at first. But I don't think Sonic Forces is trying to be a traditional anything. It is a unique experience with a unique level design philosophy and a unique control scheme to match. In my opinion, the mix is both successful and intoxicating. There were many times in Sonic Forces I was able to reach a flow state. It took me a while to arrive here though. Sonic Forces is hard, for reasons that are either player-related or design-related, depending on your perspective. The initial fight with Zavik lays bare the biggest culprit. The timing the game demands is very specific. For seemingly no reason, I am struggling to homing attack the enemies. There were a few times where my timing and the game's expectations did not sync up, causing me to either fall to my death or end a chain of awesomeness. However, in the past, I've been told matters like these come down to my lack of get good. So yeah, your mileage may vary. Sonic Forces isn't perfect. Review scores were middling, and the YouTubers raised their pitchforks with anger upon its release. It might even be the reason I passed on the title for so long. But my quibbles with Sonic Forces are minor. Forces isn't always clear when Sonic is on autopilot, and when the player has control. This leads to predictable deaths in a few key spots. It is almost criminal this exists on Metropolitan Highway. It is the ultimate beginner trap, and it exists for no other reason. Sonic should continue to boost in these situations moving forward. The homing reticle is also an odd mechanic. One should wait till it lines up with the target before pressing the button to receive a perfect and maximum points. To me, it runs counter to the very immediate reaction nature of Forces as a whole, but I also think this is a nitpick. Rapidly pressing X here is not the end of the world, or the end of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise as we know it. Just a failed experiment. I also hated Aqua Road. In an homage to bad snowboarding physics, this stage has the player traversing down water slides with limited control and enemies pushing one off course. It kinda sucks to play, but isn't awful, unless going for the 5 red rings. This involves replaying the stage a few times, as there are red rings on different paths, and fighting with the physics. It's crap. I also found this red ring in Network Terminal to be mad space maddening. Whatever button timing the game wanted from me was elusive, and I missed it a ton before nabbing it. But honestly, this leads to my favorite part of Sonic Forces: the replayability. I knew this red ring was here, but I couldn't figure out how to get to it. I doubted Sonic Team wanted me to do some odd rail jump, but I was stumped. And then I realized at the beginning of the stage was a second rail I somehow failed to notice, and sure enough, it was the missing piece. Sonic Forces is filled with branching paths and alternate routes. Some of it is basic, some of it is clever, and some of it is obvious. Classic Sonic levels remind me of the 90s with high, low, and medium pathways, each offering different rewards and visual spectacle. When going for alternate objectives, I found myself falling for Forces and its particular brand of Sonic. The game loop hooked me, and I enjoyed getting S ranks and finding red rings, and rapidly pressing A as the game fed me dopamine. It is a riot, to be perfectly honest. Sonic Forces is a spectacle. It is not Super Mario. Same as 1991, Sonic Forces is the anti-Mario. It is not a precision platformer. It is reactionary and impulsive. Learn the controls, receive rewards. Master the controls, receive even more. Press correct buttons at the correct times and cool stuff happens. One is offered in-game and emotional rewards for performing well. This adrenaline rush permeates the atmosphere of Forces, with most boss fights occurring in motion, fast-paced cutscenes mirroring an action film sequence, mid-stage cutscenes with the magic of wonder, and the boost button offering an incredibly satisfying whoosh. Sonic Forces is about motion, and I feel it succeeds in its objective. Sonic feels good in motion, Sonic looks good in motion, and that is Sonic Forces. While it might not mirror the games of yesteryear, and it does not give me the same feelings of the past, I feel it achieves the same objectives it always has, making Sonic move as fast as possible in a logical way for the hardware abilities of the time. Sonic is moving forward, as he always should. That's the whole point. Sonic Forces is not Sonic in 1994. That world does not exist. That audience is gone. Sonic Forces is not Sonic in 2001. That Sonic the Hedgehog would not make sense today. Sonic Forces is not Sonic in 2011. That is the past. Sonic is not that hedgehog. That audience has grown up. In the end, all I can offer you is my lived experience. Sonic will continue to change and evolve over the decades. How one chooses to receive that is up to them, but it's good, I promise.